Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today we are cataloging every single book that I own. I have recently moved and I'm currently in the process of turning this space into my dream home library. I hope it lands on a neon pixie garden, but a part of that effort requires for me to know what I actually own. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone book shopping and I've gotten a double when it comes to historical romances and mass market paperbacks, or come home from a signing only to find that I had a book from an author that was there. It's time for me to catalog everything that I own, and most importantly, I think something that I say quite often is that I only own half of my library because the books have been sent to me. The biggest metric that I want to figure out throughout this process is how many books I own because they've been gifted to me by friends, by family, and by a lot of you. If you have ever sent me a book, thank you so much. I'm incredibly grateful. And full transparency, I'm coming to you after the fact. I now know how many of the books that I own have been gifted. I cannot thank you all enough. The kindness in this community absolutely amazes me. And that was the one metric that I desperately wanted to track, more than how many books I actually own. So we're gonna get to the stats towards the end of this video. I did vlog the process of me cataloging every single book. I'm using the Libib app. I have this scanner that I'm using linked down below. However, you do not need to buy the actual scanner that I have. I would recommend any Bluetooth, any wireless scanner if you're gonna go this route, because you can actually use your phone. However, I mean, the gun and the click and the raise, it's just like everything. It's very fun. I wanted this to be another addition to this library, to this space. And so, you know, I had to get the gun. And I will say also that I have Monique, my dear friend and artiste, who has been working on the painting at the end of my bookshelves in this vlog. She actually filmed her own vlog of what it took to create this painting, and I'm gonna be including it in this video. And you're also gonna be popping in and out from past to future self. So I can tell you about my favorites, some of the things that I learned along the way, just in case you decide you want to catalog your books through Libib. And then also just because while Monique is here, I want her to be well fed, well entertained, even if it's unprompted, with musical acts carried out by me. And I want her to be able to listen to music, okay? Which is definitely not copyright free. So we definitely had a fun vloggy time up in here. Again, like I said, I'm gonna be popping you in and out of this video. And before I do so, I'm going to answer a few questions that I've gotten. I think it's obvious that I own the Billy bookshelves. I asked on Instagram which shelves people recommended. I was sold on the Billy bookshelves. I feel like I have room to grow on these shelves. There are 4 shelves above me that are completely empty. I've got 6 shelves on here that can still be double stacked when it comes to mass market paperbacks. So I feel like this 4 shelf unit was the perfect choice for me. I also am a woman who really enjoys lighting, okay? And so the lights that I got were the most cost-effective way for me to get lighting on every single one of these shelves without having to drill, because drilling is not my ministry, okay? I really saw this as an easy DIY. They easily adhere to the top of each shelf. They come with 3 in a box. I love all the settings when it comes to the colors. It has a controller. I have really enjoyed these lights. The one downside, I will say, when it comes to these, should you choose to click on the link, because I'll link them down below, I've definitely been asked about these lights, is that they take and require 3 AA batteries, which personally, I think it's a lot in this economy, okay? It's a lot. And I will say, I've only had to replace these once since the first week of December. However, that's still a lot of batteries if you are going to be having them on each shelf. So I definitely want to invest in a rechargeable situation up in here, but we're going to catapult into the video. We'll go over the entire process. We'll be back to go over favorites, stats, things that I've learned, and finally unveil the end of the bookshelf. I'm so excited. Monique is concerned that I keep trying to ship these two together. And I realize this is very dark and this is a horror and it's not a romance. But I feel like it can be.
No.
She has helped me categorize this as a manhwa, so I'm gonna have another tag for all the books that I have read because I'd like to know that stat as well. Hello from the past. I hope future me has got you all the way together as to how we're gonna do this, which I'm still not quite sure. But at this point in time, I've realized because of everything that the app can do, I do want to create categories as I'm going, and I think I can stay better on top of those if I just go row by row. I thought I'd be standing here and just like scanning away, which I do want to do. And I have to say, you do not need a gun. You can use your phone, but this is a lot more fun, and it is also going to just be a nice addition to my library so that I can continue to grow up in here. And it's very animated. It has a vibrating sensation. I'm loving it so far. I have started. I will show you on the computer why I think this is going to take longer in terms of categorizing everything, the type of tags that I'm going to be using. It also doesn't grab doubles. And it's looking like I own more books than I anticipated. So I'm gonna go shelf by shelf because I would like to create tags. For example, tags, excuse me. In this one, it's tagged as historical romance. And since I'm aiming to discern which books have been sent to me, gifted, to figure out how much of my library is because of a lot of you, thank you, I'm going to be categorizing them. So I have the gifted tag here, and then I want to go shelf by shelf so I can not only add those tags, but also covers. So far, I have the pile that's scanned in the way that I like it. This is my TBR, and then those are books that I'm unhauling. But this is the pile that I've scanned in successfully. And when you scan them in, they go in. And I'm putting them in a pile so then I can sit down and individually add covers that aren't there. Some of them are special editions, so that I can tag them in the historical romance category or gifted category, read. And then there are books that I have to put in manually. I think this is a really great example of a manual input because this, I believe, was done by One Last Chapter. It's a bind up of all of Lee Jacquot or Jacquot. I am never knowing how to pronounce it, but this was gifted to me by Caitlin from the Love Librarian. I'm going to have to manually enter it in, and I can totally do that and tag it as, of course, gifted. And then also I'm going to tag them as contemporary romance while I get the information in here. But some of them that are like this, or a lot of the indie published authors that I read, I can't scan them. So I've just been putting them in individually and then going through my stack that's over there of what has been inputted successfully and categorizing those. So it's a long process, but it's definitely worth it because I'm able to look through, and then I like to just kind of know who gave it to me and where. And she got me this at Love in Las Vegas, and I adore Caitlin. I adore her. So future me will pop in and tell you about my favorites from this entire shelf because I'm nearly done. Since we've reached this part of the vlog where I have successfully tracked the first shelf, I do want to go over some of my favorites. Now, I am not one to fully do rereads, but I am one to habitually revisit favorite characters and favorite scenes, which is why I love to tab my books. And one series that I do that quite often with is the Victorian Rebel series by Kerrigan Byrne. The Highwaymen, to be specific. I adore this book, and I really want to go back to tabbing in this way. I've lately been looking for homogeneous tabs that match the cover, but this tabbing system, which I do believe I have that video up on my channel, how I annotate my books, is one that my mind knows. I know every single beat within this book because of the color of the tabs. I know that the steamy scenes are pink. I know what the hero is doing with the yellow. I know when they're double tabbed, the poignant moments are orange and the green tabs are quotes. And usually with the Highwaymen, I'm looking at the quotes. I love this sense of modernity and the sort of meta experience that I have with Dorian when he's musing about the future because of the time period because we have trains and just the changing and technological advances. It feels poignant to today every single time I pick it up, and it also changes. One thing that's not representative within this copy is that I used to not only track in this tabbing system my thoughts, but I like to use post-its and I like to date those and stack them on top of each other, because I do find that upon rereads of certain scenes or entire books, which happens less often with me, my thoughts on the page change, and I like to note that. It feels like a mini diary. Welcome to my channel where my camera dies often, and in this case I do believe it's kismet, because I was about to launch into my favorite quotes within this entire book, and we frankly don't have time for that. That's just a sign that I need to do more recommendation videos. I'm going to do some rapid fire reviews instead of this shelf in particular before we jump back into the rest of the video. Now, the Libib series by Beverly Jenkins is now a new to me favorite series from Miss Bev, and Indigo is still my all-time favorite from her. Contemporary, I would say, is Deadly Sexy, but that's not represented here. I absolutely adored the Libib series. Reading her backlist with my dad has been the greatest joy in the Libib series. Oh my gosh. I love the last within the series. This cover is stunning. I love Beverly Jenkins. And oddly, it's so funny to see My Best Friend's Exorcism and A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking by Teen Kingfisher. This is by Grady Hendrix. I'm surprised because they're both YA. And I have been very saucy on this channel about my caveats when it comes to YA. I don't typically enjoy books that are set in high school. Like, unless it's dark, okay, paranormal, or we're going on some fantastical quest, I need Euphoria High, okay? I need a book that's set in high school, books specifically, because I don't mind it when it comes to my television or film, but I need something to feel like a high school movie in the early 2000s, okay? They're never cracking open a book, their parents are absent, geek or popular, everybody has made their way to the party and they're turning up and dealing with themes and dynamics that would break a seasoned adult. Like, that's the vibe that I'm on. However, I do think that these fall into the caveats because this is set in high school, yet they are dealing with themes that would break a seasoned adult. This is a possession story. I just felt like the voice, I love how it grows along with her maturity within this book, how the chapter headings are 80s song titles. I felt seeped in the time. This was nostalgia, and I also loved the ending scene. I adored this freaking fantasy. She is a baker, teenager, and there is a serial killer on the loose, but I love the journey that she goes on in this book where her seemingly unimpressive magic, where she has the ability to manipulate bread dough, ends up saving the day. And I love this small meditation of her being very resentful at the adults that are meant to protect her and really govern, leaving the hard work up to her. And then I love her like stabby familiar companion. Let's see. Now, Entreat Me by Grace Draven, definitely a favorite when it comes to Beauty and the Beast retellings, following a widow, a mature heroine and hero, the way that she bulldozes her way into his life through acts of care. I love the way in which the home, the estate, the gothic and whimsical vibes, and how the curse is handled in this book. Absolutely. And I have to thank Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings for getting me into Sweat and Soap, which was my first, no, Death Note was my first manga. This was my first like romance manga, quirky, absolutely sweet, cozy. I even think this just follows the slow burn story beats of their romance. It's workplace. It's a little odd and strange. They work at the same soap company where she sweats profusely and is in love with the line that he is responsible for creating, and he's so inspired by her smell, the one thing that she is so insecure about, and yet it's the romance. He's obsessed! And I've currently made my way up to volume 3. I need to continue on because I loved it. And I have Slewfoot on here because I am a fan of Riley Marie, and that is a favorite book for her. Now, I have to thank Tori from Novel Life. Every single time I see it, I'm so thankful. She sent this to me, I believe, the December of 2021, my first Christmas here, where she sent a very Tori-coded Christmas card. It was pink, and it was not expected for her to go out of her way and explain in a very casual kindness that she just went to a local bookstore and found this signed copy and sent sent it off to me. I just cannot get over it. And I actually rated this 4.2 stars when I was doing all of that. I recently got this. This year was a favorite of mine. It's an slow burn, reluctant forced proximity by way of Christmas family matchmaking at their children's school, where we're following two single fathers. The mental health representation I could definitely get behind. I absolutely adored this romance. Thank you, Ava. And Avery also sent me, Ava from Ava's Romance Reads, she sent me this the year before, which is like, oh, I just love it. Cupa and Damon Santana. And behind it, the year before, I was obsessed with 8 Kinky Nights. I'm always looking for a Hanukkah romance around the holiday season. This is sapphic, mature, and I absolutely adored it. Anyway, I think we've talked a lot. I'm going to move you back into the rest of the video. So I'm under the impression, and I'm going to say it because I keep saying it to Monique, I'm under the impression that I only have like 225 books maybe, like at the top. I am kind of amazed because I'm at 138 at just like, what is that? 2, 4, 5 shelves. And I'm not understanding how that's happening because it doesn't look like 138 books. Like, I'm not understanding that. So I might be losing on this little wager. She thinks it's 500. There's no way.
Maybe 600.
I really don't think there's any way. I'm not understanding. Like, she made a good point. I do have a lot of graphic novels behind Slewfoot, but like, I don't think I have that much. Maybe 2, because this is all the more why the Billy bookshelves is a good choice for me, because I still have room to grow in these shelves. But like 600, 500 books, I didn't think I owned that many, but it is a slow process. I thought I was being cute, okay, by saying that I was just gonna pop in, you know, in the future and just do a shelf for the sake of having the stats be live. For me while I'm filming, but I'm probably going to have to do that because Monique is almost finished. Should I give them a little? So you're just basically eyeballing it right now.
You stupid.
I'm trying to get B-roll. I'm gonna get copyright. It's like, how about that? How about that? Wait a minute.
No wonder where it's from.
How about that? So sometimes these older mass market paperbacks don't add, and they're definitely adding to my unread pile because they're just cover buys. I'm trying to show you the step back and why I got it. I absolutely adore this. The lace, and then look at that. I love step backs that have like a whole scene like this. Oh my gosh. And then, you know, I love the hologram effect of this one. And I remember getting this during the booktuber retreat. Oh my gosh. I just thought this was like the most unique cover. So these are cover buys. I probably won't read them. There is a series that I hope to read, and I'll show you that. I'm definitely going to be reading these. Let me go quickly before I get copywritten. But I love these covers. I'm obsessed with them. And I love multiple scenes is what I meant to say in the previous clip. When you get these vignettes like this, I love them. This is set in the 80s. And of course, they're going back in time. And I cannot wait. The decadence, darling. Day 2. Okay, Monique is finishing the last minute touches on the fairies that are on the shelf. I am trying to manually input the books from one of the shelves, and I still have 2 more to go. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take me. Monique is almost finished with the bookshelves. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. And I am currently manually inputting all of the books that wouldn't scan. I have A.H. Cunningham here, some Tal Bauer, and of course like the special edition ones. I think I've said this quite a few times throughout. Hopefully I edited it out so I'm not repeating myself. But I'm just doing the manual input and the categorizing that I want. And I still have 2 more shelves to do, so we'll see how that goes. And I'll continue to be popping in This definitely is taking longer than I thought, but I'm really happy with some of the stats so far. So let's look at those while I am in here. I think I told you where we left off last. I have 286 books in so far, and of the 286, I have 68 gifted. So far, there are 68 that have been gifted. So I cannot wait to see what the final stat is. It is shaping up to be a lot more than I expected in terms of the process, but I'm manually inputting what I can for right now, and then I'll continue to point, scan, shoot. That's like my favorite part, but I do have to like slow down and make sure everything's getting tracked properly, and I'll be back with some favorites of mine from the future. We are going to go over some favorites, but I want to do it through 3 examples that I found on my shelves when it comes to inputting multiples of the same title in the Libib app. On its own, it's not going to count doubles, like I found with Thief of Shadows by Elizabeth Hoyt. This is a favorite within the series. It's book 4, and I knew I owned this book, but I was never sure which books within the series had step backs. And so every time I came across a step back, I would buy it. I kind of lucked out when it comes to this one because I have both. This is absolutely a favorite. It has a mature heroine, virgin hero. There's this overarching theme within this series of vigilante justice and mystery centered around the ghost of St. Giles. The synopsis of this book definitely spoils it. I would say that the hero is more akin to a Zorro to me because there are some Batman books, if you will, when it comes to the identity of who the ghost of St. Giles is. It shifts, it moves. And in this book, I definitely would consider the hero to be a Zorro because he is a man of the people. He is the head of this orphanage within the slums, really in need of donations. Yet he doesn't really enjoy, nor does he know how to play the game when it comes to propriety and securing the funds within the tons, which is how our heroine comes into the chat. This is such a beautiful romance. Teach me situation in the art of seduction and in the art of securing the bag. I absolutely adored this romance. In fact, I kind of want to reread it. I hope going over my favorites doesn't take all day, but I found that I had to manually input both of these books. Now, there are some workarounds. In the case of Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue, I found that if you have, a paperback and a hardback and they're scannable, it will count it. This is a paranormal romance between a witch and I'll say a demon, a witch who's been scorned by a human that had the audacity to cheat on her. So for revenge, she goes after his father. And I had a delicious time with this. And this was also the example where I was at Love in Las Vegas, standing before Sarah Blue, and I didn't have my paperback copy because I forgot that I owned it. And so what I ended up doing is getting the hardback cover and having her sign like a book plate that I brought so I could bring it home. But again, this is why I'm doing this, because I'm tired of situations like that happening, and at least the hardcover makes me feel like I have a special edition. And I found that they both scan so I could have a more accurate depiction of what I actually own in terms of number. And I think most obviously found that with A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This is the OG cover that I had to get. This is an angsty romance, okay? What really moved me with this one, despite the fact that this is drawn out toxic affair, okay, is how she likens their romance to alcoholism. I love the metaphors in this. I love the prose that she's using, and it's a hell of a book, okay, when it comes to the back and forth and the push and pull between them. Oh my gosh. But I had to own the OG cover because I do prefer people on my covers, although I am warming to the illustrated covers of late. I got the anniversary edition because it was gifted, and this has Jamie's POV. I still have not read it yet. However, this absolutely tracked both titles, and I thought it would be fun to note that for just in case anybody else is actually going to use a Libib app, you are going to have to manually put those in, and there are some workarounds. And when it comes to my fan fiction, Every single book on this shelf had to be manually inputted. I love how the app did allow me to add my own photos. Mel Binds Fix bound all of the books on this shelf. This also has a book nook that was made for me by Monique. It took her 7 hours to make this. I want to live in this little book nook. I'm so incredibly grateful. I cannot believe that she put so much effort into this. These are both examples of them giving me the gift of their time. I'm incredibly grateful. Every single one of these binds are irreplaceable. I like to think of this shelf as my Save If There's a Fire shelf, because even if Mel were to rebind these herself, they would be different because of the choices that she's using, the materials. Her style has evolved, which I think is most evident in the newest addition to this shelf, which is Love and Other Historical Accidents. This is going to be the first book within the Paperback Fan Fiction Club. I absolutely adore her binds. And when you look at the spine, you can see even her logo on the bottom has changed. Obviously, Manacled is a favorite of mine. I have to pull it out. I mean, notably, obviously, Manacled is a favorite of mine. I adore this copy. I love the charm bookmark that she created. Get into it, Mel! Step on our freaking necks. Look at the naked cover of this book. It just makes me so happy! It's stunning! Oh my god. This is a very dark Draco and Hermione, Harry Potter meets Handmaid's Tale type of story where Harry Potter is dead. Voldemort has won the war and his evil machinations have led to Hermione being held as a prisoner of war and placed in Draco's home. It's set in 3 parts. This gutted me. The experience in reading this was just top freaking tier. And it is going to be traditionally published. She is going to have to strip it down, yes, but I cannot wait to see what that's going to be. If you have not read Manacled and you feel like you could handle the trigger warnings or you have any interest at all, this is available on Archive of Our Own. There are also podfics of it, but you can listen to this as well. This was just one of the best reading experiences that I have had. And another favorite fan fiction that I have that Mel sent to me for my birthday is Cybersex by Sweetest Sorrows. I love this. This is centered around Draco and Hermione in college, and he has a bit of a voice kink. He's sinking his inheritance into her OnlyFans, where she's reading literature and some cheeky lingerie, but that's it. And it's their romance. I absolutely adore this, and I'm so incredibly grateful and thankful. Thank you, Mel, for all of the binds that you do for me to just enjoy on your page, and also for sending them to me. It's my favorite shelf in my library, absolutely. While past me is slaying this shelf with a gun, we're just gonna do some rapid fire favorites. Rapid fire now. I've gotta know the big booty book, as Caitlin from the Love Librarian would call it. Plie by A.H. Cunningham, a first and favorite from her. In fact, let's just pull them both out here because Zay from Ready Reads gifted me the second book. I adore this series, and I love how the first book is featuring not only a contentious relationship between a single father and his daughter's ballet instructor, Aisha, who he can't help but needle and pester when it comes to how she is conducting her class. He is also new to dominance, where he is learning through masked play with Aisha, hidden identity trope, and I love that he is a student of the game. Just like I love that with Alexis Hall, for real. This is a age gap BDSM romance featuring a younger hero and new to dominance character as well. Love this book. Ooh, and let's just talk about Garen Park here. I might have to pop you out. This is giving Mickey and Ian vibes from Shameless. Thank you, Cynthia from Kindle After Dark. I adored this book. Devin lands on Maddox's doorstep after his father brutally attacks, beats him. This is custom affair here, very publicly, and as a means to get away, he runs to his literal enemy's house, and it is their romance. They are truly enemies. It is feral. It's secret. It's beautiful. And there's a second book in the series that continues their romance, and then their brothers have their own book. Let me keep going here. I'm just gonna pop into my novella shelf because this is a favorite shelf of mine. I love that these are tap lights as well. Creepy Court, I bought this for the cover. It's very similar to the Grady Hendrix cover. Jessica Haynes were all gifted to me from Books with Samantha. And oh God, let's see. This is a favorite. I mean, I've talked about it before, but come on, who cares? Evolved by N.R. Walker. This is an AI romance between a man that buys Sean, a synthetic human automated unit, and it is their romance. It's romantic suspense. Oh my God. And I loved how this goes into, very similarly like Tangled Wires by Lillian Lark, whether or not non-organic humanoids can actually love. I found myself posing the same questions that I would within a psychopath romance. I am going to stop there because I love Kimberly Lemming. Books of Samantha also got a copy of this signed at Steamy Lit for me. Salt in the Wound by Sierra Simone was an all-time favorite novella last year. Since we're here, I adore this shelf. This copy was given to me by freaking Melissa at Love in Las Vegas. It's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. I was so freaking surprised. I couldn't believe it. I did not know that she was going to do this. And I'm just like, I cannot. It's so freaking gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I'm not doing it justice. I'm not doing it justice. It is probably one of my favorites that I owned, and it's signed. It's so freaking stunning. I mean, look at this. Stop it. So I'm incredibly grateful. This is a favorite. I cannot wait to read a Education in Malice. And then, of course, Shauna Maguire's Wayward Children series is an all-time favorite. And all of these books, except for the newest, have been gifted to me. A lot of them from Melissa from Book Bar. I have 3 copies of Sea of Ruin. I have this Mystic Box special edition copy due to Carrie from Books for Romance. This is the first special edition that I had ever owned, okay? Let alone touched. It's absolutely stunning. I could not get over the kindness. And at Book Bonanza, I got the hardcover and paperback. They're all signed. I could not even believe that I was meeting Pam Godwin. I was so incredibly nervous. The first time I saw her was the night before the signing, and thankfully I was there with Samantha from Books with Samantha because I was too nervous to even go up there. She was surrounded by readers. It was kind of like a meet the author type of event. People were being gracious and kind and calling me forward, and I was just so nervous and excited to meet her all at once. And on the day of, it was so much fun because it was the first table that I went to. All my friends were there, and I embarrassingly just started bawling, crying, as well as like pointing and shopping like I was Michael Jackson, and I don't even have it like that. So that's where the majority of these came from. But I will have to say that not only is like Sea of Ruin a favorite of mine, all-time favorite dark historical romance, so is her Deliver series. And I only own this entire series because they've been gifted to me by friends. This is one of the darkest series that I have ever read, yet it has such a beautiful arc where I trusted her to take me into some of the most cruel and atrocious acts of man, and trust that she was going to deliver an HEA. The trauma in this series is not gratuitous. This is following a group of vigilante sex trafficking survivors who go back into captivity to free those like themselves. It is incredibly beautiful, but very dark. In fact, there is a scene within Manipulate in this series that is the darkest thing that I've ever read. And again, it was used to level them at the neck. I absolutely adore Pam Godwin. She's an all-time favorite author of mine. I think I've talked enough about my favorites. I'm gonna pop you into Monique's vlog and we'll be back for some stats.
Yeah! My favorite.
Thank you. I'm praising you all tonight.
Whoa!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night with Monique. You're here, Late Night with Monique.
Woo!
Today, we're going to be joined by our special guest of the evening, Monique. Monique, how you doing, sweetheart? Thank you for having me on the show. Well, you've been on hiatus for quite some time now. Mind giving us some intel as to why? I could. Are you gonna? Okay, well, we hear you're working on a new project, is that so? Yes. Well, at least, what's the name of this new project you're working on? It's called Painting Tiffany's Bookshelf. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Monique's gonna be painting Tiffany's bookshelf. We'll see you again next time on Late Night with Monique, where you're spending the late night with Monique. Have a good night.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It is I, Monique, Tiffany's favorite co-worker, and I'm back again with another vlog takeover because Tiffany decided to let me out of the basement so I could paint her bookshelf. So originally, Tiffany came to me with this idea of painting a collage of her, and then if you step back far enough, it'll turn into a bigger picture of her. So I said no. So then I offered 3 different pictures for her to choose from, and she ended up choosing the one that we're going to be doing today. So enjoy the vlog. Also, just between you and me, I built something for Miss Tiffany. As you can see here, it's a little book nook, and you know, it'll go in between her books. You can order kits online to like build it. It took me 7 hours to build this, but you know, I think it's very slay, and I think Tiff will like it a lot. So yeah.
Alright, jumping into it. It is day 1. So day 1 is just the sketch and the prep because I hate sandpaper, so I didn't bring any to sand it down so the paint wouldn't stick, so I had to keep redoing coats. And here's where I forced Tiffany to do some work. For everyone curious, she did feed me. It was Bunch of Crunch. Okay, quick time skip because this is going to be very consistent throughout this vlog. I kept forgetting to record, but we're now working on the glow aspect. I have like a little sign I have to paint. Tiffany said I want it to glow, and this is where I began to realize how long this will actually take. So this is what I got done from my first session, 12 hours of work. We're going back. Welcome to day 2. So day 2 was all about that grind. We are working so hard doing the entire background of this bookshelf. I was getting so many cramps in my hand, and I kept being distracted by my employer. Due to copyright reasons, I will be doing my rendition of Livin' La Vida Loca. All vocals and instruments will be done by myself, so enjoy. Upside, inside out, living la vida loca. She'll push and pull you down, living la vida loca. Her lips are devil's red and the skin's the color mocha. She will wear you out, living la vida loca. Come on, living la vida loca. Come on, living la vida loca. So here's me painting the cauldron on the floor. It honestly was the most difficult part because being on the floor means that I have less mobility to move the paintbrush. So my back hurt, my wrist hurt. I also kept hitting my head on the wall, but you know, anything for Miss Tiffany, of course. And I thought it was also time to start working on the middle, so I took off the painter's tape to give it that little diamond shape. And look how nice that is. Wow! Anyways, so this is our 12-hour session, day 2. And wait a minute, what's that noise?
Breaking news! Man falsely accused of celebrating his birthday early in a Korean barbecue restaurant has been found guilty. Viewers have sent in their own footage of the occurrence. Your discretion is advised as some scenes may be graphic. Be safe, don't celebrate your birthday early, and have a good night, America. Back to the video.
So it is now day 3, also known as detail day. So everything I'm doing today is going to be highly detail oriented. I'm trying to do this stained glass effect with these little triangles. They do glow in the dark, and I just want everything to look nice and clean and pretty, but you know, it's just really tedious to do. There's just so much repetition of just triangles and triangles and triangles and triangles and triangles and triangles. Moving on. So now I'm just coloring in the evil eye in the middle. Honestly, this is going by really fast. I really think I could finish this today. Like, I have no problems whatsoever. I got sick. Day 4, last day. We are speedrunning these fairies. They actually weren't originally in the drawing I made Tiffany. She actually asked if they could be added in from one of the other drawings, and I was like, anything for you, Tiffany. I love you. So we added them in, and they are the last thing I have to do before I am completely done with this project. And I am done with Tiffany's bookshelf. This is what it looks like in all its glory, with it glowing in the dark. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't pick up as much as I want of the glowing aspect, but I swear every part of it glows. It looks really cool. I worked so hard. I'm so glad I finished. And here's Tiffany's reaction to her painting.
Thank you, Monique. I love my shelves. You are an artiste. Thank you for taking me one step closer to making this the neon pixie garden that I dream of. We are now into the stats. I was able to add all of the photos I wanted, get all of the doubles. So I think in terms of the amount, it's pretty accurate. And I cannot wait to unveil it because Monique was actually right. I have 520 books. I can't even believe that. And out of the 520 books, I have been gifted 161 books. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who has sent me books. It's absolutely insane. I also wanted to see how many books I've read. So let's look at that metric. Ooh, 359 books I have read out of the 520. And out of the 161 that were gifted, I have read, 122. This was sent to me by Jess from Honest Fiction. Thank you, girl. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe it. I know I've said it so many times during this video. I am so incredibly thankful. If you've ever sent me a book, your kindness amazes me. I cannot thank you enough for joining me here today. Please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. This is crazy.